Let's get started. This is WebdriverIO Wednesdays, and today we're going to look at visual regression testing. So last time we looked at WebdriverIO element-screenshot, not element-screenshot, just WebdriverIO screenshot, and kind of took a look at how we can take screenshots of the page and all that kind of stuff. So today we're going to keep on that theme, go into something called blink-diff, which is a utility built by Yahoo. They haven't updated in like 2 or 3 years, but I think it still works. So I'm going to try it out and see if I can get it working. But basically, it's going to compare 2 different images in the before and after snapshot, and it'll let you know how things go. So I'm going to get that installed, get that running, and all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to shout them out in the chat room. More than welcome to handle any questions. I kind of want to make this a little bit more interactive because it's a little bit more fun that way, I guess, a little bit more entertaining. But without that, I'm going to jump into our tests. And what I have here is a login page test. And the reason why I want to go with this is it's already in place and should already work. I can check this out by going to it. And I've been working on this login script. You can see I've got test your login and then test your login sample. I've been working on this for a little bit of time, and if I run npm test, it should just work. We'll see how it works. And today's drink is Shiner in this lovely glass that I purchased at Martin House Brewery up in Fort Worth. Okay, so my site isn't working, or my site isn't running. That's fine. All these tests are going to fail. I forgot to start my site, so while these tests are failing, I'm going to open up a new window, and here are all my failures. Open up a new window, and then I'm going to run npm start. That's going to start my node server so that I can see my login page, which is the page that we're going to be testing. We'll enter an email address. If you don't enter the right thing, it shows some errors. And so we've got these tests already built out. If I don't click the wrong thing, we've got these tests built out that kind of run through here, and I want to take screenshots of everything as well in my test. So that's what I'll be doing today. So I'm going to try and run these tests one more time to make sure that they work. It looks like they at least ran, which is what I was worried that they wouldn't run because I had been tinkering with it a little bit. But it seems like they should work. We'll see. Okay, so you can see it running the test here. It's passing in some correct things, some incorrect things, and here are all my passing tests. And so the basic idea is it's a generic login page, and we have a test for it. So what do these tests look like? Well, we've got our describe block, which is Mocha. We've got a couple username, password for valid user, invalid user, things like that. Before each of our tests, we're going to go to the login page, and then we're going to use our page object, login.login, which is kind of a funny name. I don't know if you've heard anything better than that, but I can't think of a better one to go there. I guess you could do like submit form, but our page object name is login, which we can take a look at in just a second. Let's see, test login.page. So here's this page object called login, and we return it here, and then in our actual test, we require login and create a new login here. You can also create the login in the page object itself if you want to. It kind of depends on your needs at that point in time. I kind of like returning just the constructor itself because it's a little bit more flexible, but it kind of just depends on where you're going. Okay, so we log in with a valid user and a valid password, and we expect the URL to change to loggedin.html. That works. If we don't enter a username, we expect an error message to show up, and login.hasErrorMessage. I might have to change this because according to the doctrine on page objects, if we search page objects, and if we can actually search it correctly, let's see if I got the right thing. Martin Fowler, he talks about page objects and what he thinks are good page objects and things like that. And he talks about in here, it favors, Selenium's wiki favors assertion-free page objects, which I don't have in this instance. So that's just something to keep in mind and look at. So let's see, search for assertion. The test, not the page object, should be responsible for making assertions about the state of the page. So I'm kind of going against that rule, not because I meant to, but because, because I was just kind of ignorant of it at that time. So in has error message, it actually isn't running an assertion, it's just throwing an error if that's going wrong. So I don't know, I could change this to say expect login.hasErrorMessage to throw error. Something like expect login.hasErrorMessage to throw error, something like that. And then, sorry, I switch between a Mac and a PC between work and play, and my brain messes up on what everything should be. So yeah, it's a mess, but you're going to see that happen a few times until I figure it out. Anyway, I could do that, but I don't want to focus on that right now. Maybe we'll talk about assertions and that sort of thing later, because I do like being able to search for things and to know that this .error message is what should be showing, and that's where it should get the text from. I guess I could just return something instead of, like, expect it to return true instead of throwing an error. Same thing with is logged in. I could return true or false instead of an error. So yeah, I can change that around. I don't need to though, not right now. Because right now we're gonna look at WebdriverIO element screenshot. Last time we looked at WebdriverIO screenshot, WebdriverIO screenshot, which does 3 different things. It will take a screenshot of your viewport, your document, or your element. And we looked at save element screenshot. Now this is cool, but one thing is that it kind of requires graphics magic. It says it'll fall back to GIMP, but when I tried it, it wasn't working correctly. So rather than mess with that, I knew that there was another one out there called WebdriverIO element-screenshot, and I wanted to give that a shot just to see what it looks like. And one thing that I kind of like about it is how simple it is compared to the other one. It's just a single source file, index.js. It goes in and adds a couple commands, but really what you want is save element screenshot, and then from there it just does a couple of things, basically just taking the screenshot. But what's nice is that it doesn't use graphics magic, which means you don't have to get that installed in order to get the element screenshot. I think it runs some JavaScript in the page to get the bounding rectangle. And then how does it actually, it uses some PNG crop. That's what it uses to crop it down. So it takes the stream of the screenshot and crops it down to this settings, the boundary of your element. So it's nice in that you don't have to install, like I said, you don't have to install graphics magic, which is completely outside of the NPM ecosystem. I think there is a graphics magic module, but that still doesn't, it still requires needing to run some extra stuff. So not a huge fan of having to do that. So this is kind of a nice way around that. So I'm going to get this installed and let's try using it. The configuration is also pretty simple. You just initialize it like you would any other plugin. I think this is how you do it. That's how plugins are initialized. And then you run save element screenshot with your selector and then where you want to save the file to. So let's install. There's my install command. Oops. Oh well. run. Okay, so that installed super quick, which is another benefit of it being a really small package, is that it installs really quickly. This talks about using it via the standalone WebdriverIO, which is basically outside of the test runner. We want to use it inside of the test runner, so installation is a little bit different from how it explains it here. And to get to that, we're going to look at how we installed WebdriverIO Screenshot. So if I change, let's see. Nope, that's not what I want. I want okay, so you initialize it with your plugins in your wdio comp file. That's the wrong file. Okay, so I go down here to plugins. I'll uncomment that, and then I will press the wrong key again. Get rid of this. Don't need it. Paste that in, and that's just going to tell WebdriverIO to initialize this plugin for us. And then the second half of that is using it. So when it gets initialized, it's going to define those actions. It's going to run index.js, and in there, it's going to run this init function because that's what gets returned. And it's going to add these commands. So we'll have these three commands. The main one that we want is save element screenshot. So we'll go into our file, and then let's take a screenshot. So after we expect the URL, let's take a screenshot of the basic page. So let's see, I can usually do, well, it usually wants you to do something like browser.screenshot, client.saveElementScreenshot, and then you pass in the element selector that you want. But instead, I want to pass in my page object selector, which I believe this works in this instance. I'm going to take a screenshot of my form. So this is screenshot before filling out form. And I'll do login.form.saveElementScreenshot. And then plain.png is what I'm going to name it, and press the wrong button again. That's what I do. And again, if you have any questions at this point, feel free to reach out. And then this is going to be filled correct. So I'm going to take these two screenshots, and then I'm going to run only this test because I don't want to waste time waiting for the other test to run. Let's see. So we are saving the element screenshot, and I believe this will work. It may not. So we're going to see. Did you already run? No, I didn't run at all because I didn't actually run it. That was dumb. And let's see how this goes. Opening the page. Let's see if we get any errors when it takes a screenshot. Oh, that was a big fat error. Bounding rectangles.reduce is not a function. I recognize this .reduce because I got it the other day when using element screenshot at work. And basically, bounding recs is a JavaScript function that's running inside of the browser. When you open the browser, it tries to execute some JavaScript to get the size of the element. And you see here, get element bounding rectangle. Let's see, bounding rect. Where is it? Well, it's not in here, but basically it's trying to get the bounding rectangle of the element, and this element selector isn't getting passed in correctly because I'm trying to run it through a page object. And so that's what's going on. The element selector is the file name here, And so it's passing in the file name into take element screenshot and things like that. So there's a couple things that we could do. One thing is we could open a PR to this repo and see if they can make this handle elements as a first class citizen. And that's its own topic on its own. And I'll show you a quick example of what that is. WebdriverIO. Elements as a first class citizen is something new to WebDriver 4 and 4.x. And if we go into what is new, it really makes it easier to run our page objects, which is super awesome. But it does require a little bit of help. Let's see. There we go. It does require a little bit of extra work on the side of the plugin to handle that sort of thing. So instead of saying set value and then the input selector and then some text, you do a browser.element and then you say input.setValue. And yeah, those two are the same. So it says it's really useful when doing the page object pattern, and that's very true. It is. And unfortunately, it doesn't quite work. I'm guessing that it's not working in this instance because save element screenshot isn't hooked up to handle that. And there are some things that are hooked up for that. So let's take a look at what those are. Okay, so in my library, not my library, WebdriverIO's library, there are commands. And like click. All right, so click should either you pass it in like this or like this. So this is the first, what was it called? First class citizen. That's what this is. This is just second class. So or third class. I don't know. I don't know what class this is. Let me know. I'm really curious. So, okay, they do this.element.selector and then they do some things. So with selector, let's see, how is that set up? Because selector would be undefined at that point. So maybe because it's this, it's referring to the element that was defined in your $sign function. And then because nothing gets passed into element, it just returns this again. So we can actually test that out by going into element. The element command, see where it is. Not in here, that would be under helpers. No. Utils, scripts, protocol, element, there we go. So let's see what element returns. Element takes a selector and let's see. And result selector. Find strategy. Using. If no selector. Okay. So if no selector is passed in, then return the value of the last promise. The last promise would be, in this case, the browser.element command. So browser.element is going to return a element, go figure. And when you run element and selector isn't defined, then it's going to return the value of the last promise. And so this is what allows us to have it to where you can both pass in a element into the command itself, like this, or pass it in as the previous command, like the previous promise. So this all uses promises behind the scenes, but it does it in a really elegant way to where you don't actually see it. So that's really cool. So with WebDriver element screenshot, we would need to do here, instead of return new promise, I believe what we would do is this dot element dot, and then pass in element selector, and then we would then do the take element screenshot, and then I guess we could do that with this dot take element screenshot, because that's really where we care about it more. Since save element screenshot calls take element screenshot, it would be better to do it here. So let's see, if type of element selector is not equal to a string, and return promise.resolve null. So because it's a file name, it's this is basically erroring out here. It's getting the element rectangle. So maybe we could even move that outside of take element screenshot, because that doesn't actually use it. Here we could do, yeah, this.execute. So this is the code that it's going to execute in the browser. This is the selector that it's going to run on. So instead of doing this.execute and then passing in the element selector here, I think we could do this dot, let's see, there's a selector execute action, and in it you pass in your selector and then the script you want to run. And so we could do it that way. Oh, you know what? Execute, this is just passed as a parameter to this value. So yeah, this will take a little bit of work to get into, so I'm not going to get too much into it right now. But basically what's going on is in execute, you're calling some JavaScript. You're passing in some JavaScript to run in the browser. So here, this is the JavaScript that's going to run in the browser. And then these are the arguments you want to pass into that function. So in this instance, it's calling get element bounding rectangle, which is in, where is that defined? Here. And then from there, it's doing these things, blah, blah, blah. From there, let's see, it's passing the element selector, which is just a string into it. So all that to say that this style is not going to work. We need to get the element selector outside of that. So I'm going to change that to browser, and then I'm going to pass in just the form, which is the same selector as in my page object. And that's not fantastic, because I really would have liked this to take advantage of the page objects we already have. But for today, it's just going to have to do. So yeah, basically we've got a form selector that's going to get passed in. I'm pretty sure I can't pass in the element itself into here, because it's expecting a string to get passed in into element selector, because that element selector gets passed all the way down to the execute function, which get element bounding rectangle. If we jump to that, takes the element selector and it will do a element compute element. Query selector all on that element selector. So it has to pass through query selector all. So this would take a little bit of rework to get it working with page objects, but we're not going to do that. Okay. So let's take a picture of that, and then same thing with the form. We haven't even got to the visual regression testing part. Try running that again, and it should work. Again, any questions you have, feel free to send them over my way. It still didn't pass. Reduce is not a function. So, selector execute. Oh, I'm not using the right. Am I using the right one? WebdriverIO screenshot. No, I want element screenshot. Copy paste fail on that instance. And then I don't even know if it's save element screenshot. Is it? Save element screenshot. I guess they both use the same one. They do. They both use the same command. So that's less than ideal. They're written by two different folks. I mean, it's not too surprising that they both use the same command. They do very similar things, but that's how it works. So what was happening is my that's why I recognized this error, because they were both using or because it was running the WebdriverIO screenshot, not WebdriverIO element screenshot. So, and that's why I couldn't find this function or this, because that wasn't in the right code base. So it looked like it took the screenshots this time. At least it opened it. So give me a second while I navigate to that in my browser, because I want to be able to show y'all what that looks like. So that's not in my browser, in my folder hierarchy. Okay, here we go. So under nothing, we have nothing. I should have gotten an, oh, here it is, plane. I at least got the plane screenshot. It didn't take the second one. Why didn't it take the second one? Let's see. I wonder if it's a asynchronous thing, because this, it looks like this module was written for basically WebdriverIO 3. Let's see if they even have it on. No, they have it for 4. What do they have in their tests? Screenshot. So that's the screenshot they want. Images. Web. Wow, they got unit test commands. I'm looking in the wrong one. Okay, let's go to the right repo and look in samples. Okay, so those are my images. Page, that's the page that they're testing. Let's see, what's environment? Oh, that's just defining some items, basically setting stuff up. So this is the actual test we're going to try running. So it's calling element screenshot, describing it, so it's returning it. Oh, it's going to the URL. I didn't know you could load a URL that way. File URL. Neat. And then they have blink-diff, which is probably similar to blink-diff. So it's validating that the commands are added, that when you call get element rectangle, it's doing that. But you see here it's browser dot. So this is running it through the standalone version. I think, because spec, let's see. When I run test in here, build and Mocha. So what's Mocha do? Runs Mocha, sets up the environment, runs the specs. So I'm guessing that environment file defines the browser. Global.browser, yeah. And that's doing a require WebdriverIO. So this is not synchronous mode. So I'm thinking that when I'm trying to run this command, it runs this one because it does it first, but it's not handling this second one correctly just because of the way that it's all set up. So I actually don't know enough about synchronous mode to know how to make this work. Possibly I could do like a dot then somewhere. Let's try it. You know, I could move this into my login page object. I could. I'm not going to. Okay, so I'm gonna do this kind of craziness and return that screenshot, and let's see how this works. We can just skip that and see if that takes a picture of it. No, because login.login is this command, and it's not actually returning anything. I wonder if I'd have to return that. I don't know about this. This is getting kind of complicated. I really would like to just have this correct. Yeah. Let's just skip past that. So what I'm going to do is just ignore taking this second screenshot. We're not going to worry about that right now. What we are going to do is try out blink-diff, which is the other thing I wanted to take a look at. So let's jump in to blink-diff. That would be in npm.js. Okay, so we've got blink-diff. We'll go and install it while we're reading through. And then we're going to do the object usage, which is actually loading it into our node file and then running a diff. So we'll need to do a require of blink-diff of this object. That installed, and then we're going to do okay, so that's going to pull in the blink-diff library, and then I'm going to move this whole thing into its own separate test. It should look good. So that way we're not really like muddying up our test at this point. So I'm going to save the element screenshot to plain.png. And then I'm going to run blink-diff. And I think what I want to do is say if there isn't this file here, then go ahead and save it and don't run blink-diff because there's nothing to compare on. But if there is, then I want to compare that. So this is going to be a little bit different. I'm probably going to, instead of do save element screenshot, I'm just going to do take element screenshot, which I believe will only I believe that will only send me a stream back, which I can use to pass into blink-diff. So take element screenshot. Yeah, because this takes an image buffer back and then writes to the file. So yeah, that's what I want to do is say, let the file name, actually that should be a constant. And you know, I use constants up here. They could be lets, I don't know. I'm undecided on that, whether one is correct or not. But and then I'm going to check to see if that file name is there. Check if it's there, or not if file name is there, just if the file is there. And to do that, I'm going to use Node.js, has its cool stuff, documentation. Let's see, I'm not really running that. I'm running 6.5, but 6.9.5 should work. I wonder if I can hack into, no, 6.5.0. This is my version of hacking, which is pretty sad, but hey, look, it worked. So I need the file system, and I'm going to try and figure out what command I can use. fstat or faccess. It's faccess. Okay, I think this is what we want, is file system access, and we're going to pass in the path. And then if that returns are okay, then that should tell us that things are good. I don't know. I really want to just use exists, but it's deprecated. Because this is all I really care about. Okay, I'll be responsible and use the non-deprecated version. Back in my file, I'm going to require the file system module. And then here, I'm going to run my file system access sync file name. And let's see, how does access work? Pass the path, the mode, the callback. We're not going to have a callback because we're running this synchronously. And so let's see the mode. The mode argument is an optional integer, specifies. Okay, so let's try just running that. And I'm going to skip through that stuff and put in a bad file name, and let's see what it does. Oh, it's running over here for some reason. Oh, can't find the module blink-diff. It's blink-diff. Oh, I forgot to do only, so it's running a bunch. But, okay, no such file. So this is an error that it threw, which is fantastic. Cannot read property then of undefined. Oh, line 33. Oh, yeah, I need to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to run only this, and then I'm going to try this. Try. Good old try catch. And then catch. Oh, that doesn't work. Try. Because I want to try running this function. And if it throws the error, then I want to say save the element screenshot. Okay. And then if this works, then I'm going to do the blink-diff with the take element screenshot. Okay, and then this is going to return a promise that I need to run through. And then maybe like a console log. Baseline image not found. Captured new screenshot. Something like that. So saying that we couldn't find the baseline image, the original one, and that we captured a new screenshot. Basically just to let people know that we didn't do a comparison at that point. And here we're going to do our blink-diff. But take element screenshot, I need to figure out what that does. So let's jump into element screenshot. Take element screenshot dot then. So I might need to do some stuff like basically what's going on in here. Let's just run that. Okay, so all I want to see is that it takes the element screenshot and then runs this function correctly. And then the first thing I'm going to do is just double check that this catch works with the wrong file name and saves the new screenshot and gives me my error message. So I'm going to run that, and then I'm going to put the correct file name in there and try it out. Whoops. I don't know how to run try catches. 10 years of JavaScript programming. And I don't know how to write a try catch. What did I do wrong? Try catch. Maybe I did. Maybe I do know how to write that. I just don't know how to write this. That looks all correct. Maybe I have to pass in the error. That would be weird if I had to pass in the error, but it's a possibility. Oh yeah, I do have to pass in the error. I could use finally, but I think try catch is a pretty well done approach, or pretty standard approach out there. Okay, so it did run, and let's see if it captured our new screenshot. It did. So here's our plain one.png. So it said baseline image not found, captured new screenshot. So let's go ahead and run that one more time now that we've got our screenshot in there. I guess I could have just deleted the original image. That would have also worked. Baseline image not found. So it still didn't find that image. Let's see. For access. So I'm going to see where it failed. And I really should get to know the node debugger. I should know a lot of things. Instead, I fill that knowledge with beer information. Okay, so it did run that. So the error actually came here. There. So let's console log that error out and see what it tells us. Oh, it doesn't like then. Why? Take element screenshot. Maybe it doesn't like that? Oh, I wonder if that returns something. That would be neat. So if this runs correctly, then we're going to get this neat little image buffer junk here. Yes, and here's our image buffer. Okay, so I was just writing it incorrectly. So WebdriverIO 4 is smart enough to say that the promise that is returned here, actually, the promise returned here gets passed back and stored as a variable that you can just store like that. So we can just use it straight up like this. We don't need this .then, which I'm really happy with. That's pretty neat. Okay. Oh, too many comments. If no image buffer, we will ignore that. We don't want to write the file. This is where we want to run blink-diff. Okay, so we're going to blink-diff our previous and next items. Where'd blink-diff go? There you are. So we're going to do a diff, a new blink-diff. Image A path is going to be our file name, and then image B is going to not be our file name. It's going to be the image buffer. And then I don't care about that. And I am going to output the image. because I just want to see what it looks like. So we'll do plain.diff.png. And then one last thing we're gonna do is open up our source file and just completely mess up this form. Oh boy, that's a lot. Okay, let's go into index. So our input is here. So if I wanted to mess it up, I could change. This doesn't have labels. That's not good. I'm gonna just get rid of that to e-address. It's a super cool thing. So I'm gonna run this, and we should see a diff between the two get played stored. So I can get rid of plain 1. Here's plain. Oh, I can't get rid of plain 1. I forgot that I didn't change it. Okay, I can get rid of plain. Oh, what's that? No such file or directory. So there's the error. That's fine. It didn't give me that. So maybe I could. I'm guessing that blink-diff. Oh, it didn't actually run. That's what happened. Diff.run. Yeah, so you actually have to call it to run. That makes sense, I guess. And then we'll get our results here. Let's try that out. And then I'm probably gonna have to call it a day at this point. Gotta go pick up the kids. But there are a couple things I want to mention. So it didn't actually log anything out. But did it save an image? It did. It did save an image. What's that image look like? Did it save an image? Yeah, maybe it didn't. It might not have liked that buffer. The fact that we passed it in through here. You know, one thing we could do that's a little bit different is instead of passing it in through there, we could do just like a temp and then delete it. I really don't like this approach. I'd much prefer the buffer because it kind of keeps it in memory and all that. It's going to be a lot faster than writing it to the file system. But I don't want to get to figure that out right now. So basically I'm going to save it as whatever this file name is and then -temp and then overwrite anything in there. Let's try that. No such file or direct. Oh man. You know what? Plain temp. Let's just call it temp. Whatever. I don't care. I just want to get this working. Did I actually save it? No, it didn't. Oh, I need save element screenshot. I don't need take element screenshot. That's why I didn't save it. It might have saved it as before, but I don't know. That still didn't look right. So try it one more time. So I should see a temp. So this is my temp with e-address. That's correct. What's that look like? Oh, that's e-address 2. Okay, so I'm gonna change that back to plain. And then I've got my temp. Let's try that. I wonder if this is an asynchronous function and we need to return it. Don't know. It's not actually running the other stuff inside of it. So I've got a plane, I've got a temp. Let's try returning it. When in doubt. It's not saving the image. It's not throwing an error. I don't know what it's doing. If there's an error here, that's fine. Ah, here's my diff. But again, it didn't get saved. Image output path. That's to output image. Oops. Okay, we're gonna have to take a look at this later. I don't know specifically what's going on, so I'll keep looking. But this is what it should look like. That'd be super cool if it was, but it didn't. So next time we'll take a look into it and see what we can find. At the very least, I could run this. So I'm gonna run /node modules bin blink-diff. It'll be in there, and then I'm going to output to my diff.png, and then I'm going to pass in my plane.png, and then my what did I call it, temp.png. And let's see if that worked. So I called it diff.png. So here's what it would look like. So you can see the before, the after, and then the difference between the two. So that's what I'm going for. I'm gonna have to get there next time. There's just something that I'm doing wrong with how this is set up. Maybe I'm not passing in my threshold that should be in there. Gosh, I really want to finish this off, but let's try that. Okay, while that's going, I want to mention one quick thing. I'm doing a launch week for my course. I finished the first half of the course, so I want to do a special little launch week, and as part of that, we've got my launch sale, which is a discount on the price, on the starter kit price, and the early access price is the same for professional. And then I'm also going to be giving some items away, so let's see if I can open up something for you in the browser, so as not to completely give it away. But basically, I'm going to be doing a sweepstakes where at the end of next week, all you got to do is enter your email address, and you'll be entered for one of these prizes. I may get one more prize out there, but at the very least, I've got 3 months personal plan, Ministry of Testing swag, training discount, and a training discount on Sauce Labs training, and then ES6 for everyone, which is an awesome ES6 training course. The starter course package. Yeah, so I still have some work to do on the website. It's a bit of a mess, but the rules are going to be here. Basically, you get 1 entry per person by your email address, and then if you'd like to double that entry, you can sign up for a free trial on Learn WebdriverIO, and any email that's entered that has a corresponding account counts as 2. So hey Dimitri, I don't know if you're saying hi or bye, but I think you're saying hi. So hi. Anyway, thanks for saying hi. If you are saying bye, then have a good one. I'll be finished with this soon enough anyway. So anyway, that's the launch week. I'm going to mention it next week during this Twitch stream, and you are welcome to submit your email to it when it's ready. It's almost ready to put up there, but I have to cross the T's and dot the I's before I get that in there, before I get that going. So I'll mention it next week, and you can enter your email address. Costs nothing. No purchase necessary, I should mention. But yeah, that's coming for next week. So keep an eye out for that. And let's see how our test did. Here, that's the one that I wanted. This was the plain diff. So let's run this one more time. Don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, because it didn't even console log anything. I should have said running. Awesome, you're saying hi, Dimitri. Well, hi, welcome back. I like your robot because robots are cool, and that's what we do on this channel. We make robots do our work for us because we're lazy and don't want to do our work ourselves. Okay, so I would have got a plain diff 1. I didn't get a plain diff 1. Oh well. We'll figure this out next time. Next week, same time, 5 p.m. Central Time. And we will check that out. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I'll have a recording of this up on YouTube as well. I'll cut out the beginning and maybe the ending. I don't know. Thanks. Come again and ask any questions you have. Have a good one, y'all. Bye. That's a bye. It's not a hi. It's a bye.